Okay, so somehow I managed to lose the video that I made on this topic, but it's not that big of a deal. So what I've done is I've moved the shaders from main.c into separate files. No big deal there. I will say, I may have mentioned this before, I've sometimes seen issues with not having this as the first line. So it's a little tricky thing to remember about shaders. You know, not putting white space as the first line. I think the first line needs to be that version. So one thing to remember there. Then for the shader, the shader.h, this function has changed a bit. So it's called build shaders. I don't remember if, I think that's what it was called before, but it takes basically these are strings, but they're pointers to chars or characters, and it also takes this is going to be the shader itself. Yeah, I should name that better, definitely, but and we'll see that in the main.c file. But so we're passing in now the paths to the vertex shader and the fragment shader. Okay, so yeah, and like before, you don't really need to know about the innards of this function. Basically, it does what you would think, and it's just been some changes to it to adapt to these parameters now. So okay, and if I go into main.c, I'll go to where that function is being called, which is here, build shaders. So before we build the shader, we want to, well, here we get to name the shader, and OpenGL will create a program for us. It's called a shader program, and we pass in the vertex shader and the fragment shader. Yeah, so I've called this generic just because it can be used for many things. Well, so far we're just doing 2D stuff, and then like you could use one vertex shader for many different fragment shaders, which is very common to do. So anyway, GL use program, we had there before. This is a OpenGL function there. So yeah, this is pretty easy little workflow for building a shader. And that's pretty much it. We've gone over this stuff before. Yeah, the other thing is, I guess, syntax highlighting for the shaders, and that is going to be a separate video. I'm going to show how to do it for Vim. Basically, if you're using Sublime Text, there's a package out there. So if you want to use that, if you haven't already figured out how to install packages, then figure that out, or you can comment. I can make a video about it, but I think most people can figure that out. And then look online for GLSL syntax highlighting package Sublime. Same story for, I think Visual Code should have that as well. And or sorry, Visual Studio and VS Code, Visual Studio Code, and all that stuff. So for Vim it was a little more complicated, and so there will be a video on that. And thanks for watching, and that's it for this video.